second chance in the game.
I'm the head football coach at Arcola High School. We're a 1A school, enrollment about 230 kids. My contact information and email is all there. This presentation will be talking about using our H-back in multiple ways. We call our H-back kind of our fullback type player. Qualities of our H-back, we throw probably the most at them than we do any other position. Whether it's alignment, whether it's assignment, or how we use our terminology, they just have to understand what the goal of the play is to be able to be successful. We first and foremost, aside from being smart, they've got to be physical. They're essentially a tight end that's removed from they don't have to put their hand on the ground. And then the other two are just really benefits for what we can get out of them. Athletic and then versatile. Can they catch? Can they run routes? Can they understand passing concepts? I think that, we've been lucky since we've been here. We've had everybody, all of them are the top two, and then the ones that are really special are the 3 and 4. So these are just slides, some different ways. This is essentially our H-back position here. We did the presentation earlier talking about running counter, or GH counter. So that would be our H-back pulling. If you get into positions, you can run some vertical routes with them. Just hard to account for an H-back out of the backfield. This is if we want to run power. They're our kick block guy. Same thing with our tight end. And this is where we get into being smart. So, we get a look and we want to, when we have twins, we want him to really be able to kick out the last man on the line of scrimmage. First guy outside the tackle. When we get a tight end, we might be in a situation where we down block the tight end and he has to understand that his kick block is going to be a little wider. We might arc the tight end and kick that inside. So just some different variations that he has to understand, not only where to line up, we can motion him and do things like that, but also what his assignment's going to be. Just some variations to get them into the passing route, and some little pop passes off of it. And we'll get into some pretty cool stuff. So this is our first year here as a staff. We're a big zone team. This is essentially just split zone. So we're going to bring our H-back back across the formation and kick out the backside force player. So, this is kind of where everything started for us. When we did use our H-back, we've gone to essentially probably 80% H-back usage now. What really helps is if, like this kid, for example, if it weren't our first year, we could have utilized him a heck of a lot more. But, going from a trip set or an open set or an empty set and then motioning him back to being an H-back, teams are going to play you differently if you've got a blocker in the box or not in the box. So being able to do that with a kid like this who can run routes, can catch the ball, and then come in and be a great blocker. So here we're running counter read. So he's going to arc. We're going to read this defensive end. We're running GT, but he's going to arc and essentially be the blocker if our quarterback pulls it out on the backside. Just another way to show that. Again, this is split zone. Bringing our H-back back across the formation to kick out the backside defensive end. So this is an example. We're going to run zone up front. People can say this is an RPO. For us, this isn't an RPO. It's play action pass. We're going to leak our H-back. We've shown zone where he's cut blocking and coming back across the formation. Well, now we're going to leak him out into the flat on a pass route. and do some different things with these guys to run people off to where it's a one-on-one situation. So we leak them out into the flat. You know, we've cut block, brought them across split zone, and now we leak them out into the flat. You know, for a pretty easy pass and catch. This kid here was he was probably 6 foot and 220, just explosive and athletic. You know, so being able to get him the ball in difficult or in crunch situations was huge. And you'll see later on we utilized him a little bit more as a running back type player as well. So this was just this year. Probably our top play is our G scheme belly. Our run play is our G scheme belly. That, you know, aside from counter, that probably sets everything up that we do. So here we talked about being smart. So our tight end and our H back trade spots. So we just trade our tight end H to get the defense set. Try to create an advantage with numbers. We down block. So when we down block, our H back has to understand who we're trying to kick and then who we're trying to seal. So here we're going to kick. If our tight end down blocks him, we're going to kick this kid. If our tight end goes inside, we're going to kick this kid. So he has to understand really what our offensive line is doing, what calls we're making, so he can take the path of least resistance to his backer. So here he does it. His first step, his angle is probably not the best, but does a great job of rerouting himself to get to that inside linebacker. Here's a good picture of it from the backside. Same thing. But now he understands he can't arc outside of this last man of line of scrimmage. He's got to take his path inside to get to this backer. So, again, being a very high football IQ player is really important in this position. So, same thing. Now we have made a tag call that we've ran our G scheme belly play. We've ran it 2 or 3 times. Now we've made a tag call that our tight end is down blocking, and we're going to put our H back down on the defensive end. So we're going to pin our defensive end and kick block all the way outside. So again, another tag to what we do that our H back has to be able to understand. And it's a simple little concept, but it can make the difference in being able to have big plays in the run game and not. And it all starts with our H back. So here you can see we've made the tag. It's just going to pin this defensive end inside. Not great footwork by him. I'd like to see him close down a little bit instead of step outside, but gets enough of the kid to make the pin. Same play here. This was a huge play for us. It was 3rd down, 3rd and 5. We were on the goal line, and we were having a difficult time rooting people out. So we had to make that same tag. We're going to pin this kid inside, lead with our running back, and get our H back and quarterback in the end zone in a big situation. Here's the we run our GH, our counter play. We're going to pull and wrap him inside. Great aiming point, does a heck of a job of rooting his inside linebacker out. Those of you that run GT, he just replaces the tackle. Get a little bit more athletic kid, get a better angle to pull and wrap, and that's another way we utilize our H. So here, one thing I talked about earlier with us being our first year, So now we've gone to an open set. We knew against this team, this is our second round playoff game this year. We knew against this team, we were going to get a 5-man front if we brought our H-back or our tight end in the game. Here we start with an open set and then motion our H-back inside. So we get a 4-man front that we felt like we were a lot better than them up front. So we get a 4-man front to start, but we can motion him in and put him in the backfield and get into the same position we saw earlier. Same thing here. This H-back does a really good job of getting inside, understanding his angle, and created a huge play for us on the exact same play, just away from the tight end this time. People overload our tight ends, and then we've got this option. What I really like about where he's at, his depth is great, and it creates a great angle for him to get inside to that linebacker. Same play, kind of the same thing. Just a really good job of rooting that kid out, and understanding. There's a lot that goes into understanding where your aiming points are on your pulls, on your kicks, on your on your pass routes, all those different types of things. So just really important for our kids to understand that. Here we're running power where he's going to kick out. So he does a good job of getting inside out on the defensive end. So essentially what our H-back has created for us is we can pull and wrap him, we can run him on a pass route, we can kick block him, we can slip him all the way back on the backside, and we can release him vertical. So just that one position has created so many different things that the defense has to prepare for. So here we're going to run power, but we're going to run a little same side running back action with a little toss off of it. We'll read the defensive end. He has now created an option for him, our H-back, to be able to be a lead blocker out here. Not a ton of success on this play, but gets another guy to the point of attack. We're still running the same stuff up front, but we throw so much at him. We're able to keep everything simple for our offensive line so they can play fast and trust their rules. And we rely on our H-back and our skill kids to really take the bulk of the tags and the different looks that we're able to be multiple out of. So if you look up front, it's power. So we're going to pull and wrap. We're going to read the defensive end with our quarterback. We flip it on the outside. Now, if our H-back attacks the outside shoulder and understands, and this is probably an example of me not coaching him well enough to understand what he is blocking for. So if he understands that he is blocking for this pitch and attacks that outside shoulder, we've got a pretty good opportunity to score here. But he lets him get outside and the kid makes a play. Same thing, same play. This time the quarterback's able to keep it. But just the action of everything moving outside, our H-back coming outside, our running back coming outside, we're still running power up inside. So just that action really opens everything up. So we've got a walk-in touchdown with our quarterback going untouched. Same play, similar look, better end zone view here. So really getting flat and wide as an arc block and taking your first thread that shows. So here we're going to run power inside. We're going to take and stutter him and send our H-back vertical on a little pop pass. So power up front, we see that we're getting a really good linebacker flow on our pulling guards. This is an option that we can get into. And this is where it really pays to have an athletic H-back that understands the concepts. So as you can see, linebackers expecting run, D-line's expecting run. We're running power up front, and our H-back's able just to sit right inside that shoulder of that kid and has a big play for us. So if we were going to run true power, he would kick. We're going to double team and pull and wrap to him. But he will now arc and get vertical, and we've got great leverage to be successful with nobody in the middle of the field for this. So here on this play, just a little shovel pass. We're going to run power up front again, but we're going to leak our H back. He's going to hesitate and then come back inside. DN comes up field. We're running speed option in the backfield. Quarterback flips, and we get a big play out of this. And it's good to get these guys. This team we were playing probably wasn't the best team that we played all year, but good to get these guys that do all the dirty work. Like your offensive linemen. Good to get these guys the way to utilize their best characteristics and talents. This kid, as I said earlier, was 6 foot 220 and just a really good athlete. Able to set it all up. With as much as we utilize our backfield and our running back and quarterback run game, this just really opens up well and, gives him an opportunity to score on senior night. Here's the back look for it. So we're going to one step outside and wrap tight back inside, similar to what you would teach your pulling guard. We tell them, follow your puller and get your eyes to the quarterbacks for the pitch. Same play here. So here we're going to run GT counter, arc the H back to the outside. We end up giving this based off of what the defensive end does. So, one thing, again, we talked a lot about influencing the edge players, influencing the defensive end. So the defensive end is getting GT pull this way. So if he has been taught to chase this, and then all of a sudden the H-back arcs, it kind of limits him and puts him in a bad spot. It's just a different way for him to look. And if you see his reaction, you can tell that he's really reacting off of our H-back. So we have now, we're going to read this backside D end, but we have now influenced him and made him play a little bit slower. So what we've done here, this kid was probably our most talented H-back that we had. This was on our 19 quarterfinal team. So we have utilized the same concept and just moved him into the backfield. So we've created a little option play here with him and flipped it out to him, just a way to get him the ball as well. Here we're going to send our H-back on a vertical route. So we essentially have 3 verts. We're going to press him to the inside. Our wide receiver does a terrible job. He needs to get out to the sideline and get vertical to create a little bit more space. And then we're just basically going to wheel him right up the seam, wheel our H-back right up the seam. So we get a vertical passing route now from our H. And if, as you can see here, if our wide receiver does a good job of pressing and turning his corner to the outside, that H-back is going to be wide open in this hole. We end up hitting the slot over the middle anyway, but, you can see if this wide receiver presses the sideline, there's no one around for our H. So now we're going to run a little pin pull. So he's going to essentially do what he did on our G scheme belly. He's going to pin the defensive end. So he's turned into a tight end now. He's hands not on the ground. He's in a different position. Again, you can utilize in motion and put him in different spots to create, him to be just another weapon for you to utilize. In this situation, we're going to run zone, and we're going to release our H back on a little pop route. So it's tight. Everybody's down. They're playing man-to-man. They're a press man everywhere, cover zero. Well, they don't have anybody for our H back. The only person they have for our H back is an inside linebacker. And we feel like if the inside linebacker is going to play our H back, we're going to be able to run the ball. But if we're not able to run the ball and they're really jamming things inside, we're going to release him on a little pop route. And you'll see a couple of these that, we ran it in big situations to have some success with it. So he does a great job of widening, puts the outside linebacker in a really big bind. He's got to either play the run if he's arcing to come block him, or, as I mentioned earlier, this kid was just super athletic and understand concepts. He presses and then gets vertical and has a really easy throw and completion for a touchdown. Same play. This is 2nd and 10. This is a second-round playoff game in 2019. As you can see, we've ran the ball, done a really good job of establishing our run game. So we get a box that looks like this. I mean, we've got 8 guys sitting inside. They're playing man-to-man everywhere. We get a good enough play action fake. Probably could have been better, but we're just going to release our H right up the seam for an easy pass completion for a touchdown. This is probably my favorite play that we've ran. So again, the athletic H-back that we've had. So we put him into that deuce look. We put twins away. We're going to run our power read action in the backfield. So what we've seen, they show everybody to the passing string. So they've rolled their free safety over their outside linebacker. This kid we're really putting in a bind. We've ran power flow or power read with our back coming this way. He has ran and arc blocked into this outside linebacker. So now this outside linebacker's in a pinch. He's got to be the force player. He's got to come set the edge. But what we do in this play is we just settle him, attack, and then slip right up the seam. So quarterback does a really good job here. As you can see, everybody's flowing. He wants to set the edge. Outside linebacker wants to set the edge. Great angle by our H-back, running back. Great angle to the outside. It slips right up the seam. So here's a great view of it. As you can see, he does a really good job pressing flat to attack this kid's outside. This kid's responsibility is the force player. So he's going to do everything he can to fight outside. So he's going to attack and then slip right up the seam. And then another thing that we're just kind of scratching the surface on is utilizing your H-back and then some screen game. So we roll away. H-back 90% of the time is extra protection. And then we're just going to slip the ball out to him and get him the ball in space. So just some different ways utilizing your H-back to be multiple. If he's your tight end kid, then putting him on the line of scrimmage, off the line of scrimmage, and moving him around. There's just so many endless possibilities you can utilize a kid that fits that mold. I would say that the hardest part for us is finding that person. But when you do find them, they're probably the most important part of your offense. Thank you.